Hi and welcome to the third part in our Quick Start Guide series. In this guide, we'll go over the TouchOnKeys app and how to use it. In this video, we'll cover the basics: how to change the functionality of gestures, touch sliders, your function keys, RGB lighting, and how to create custom profiles for specific apps. This guide is suited for both the Clevetura 1, our full-size keyboard, and the Clevetura S, which is the compact version. TouchOnKeys also works in the same way whether you're on Windows or Mac. Firstly, we need to make sure that we have the TouchOnKeys app installed, and if you're on Mac, we also need to make sure that the TouchOnKeys driver is activated. In case you don't have the TouchOnKeys app installed, we'll leave a link in the description to the downloads page and also to the installation, driver activation, and connection guide for Mac. Once everything is installed, and in the case of Macs activated, let's go ahead and open the TouchOnKeys app. If there happens to be a keyboard firmware update, you need to be connected by cable with USB mode enabled on your keyboard for a successful update. If there's no firmware update and you're on TouchOnKeys version 6.2.1 or higher, your keyboard will be detected whether you're connected with a cable or by Bluetooth. First thing we see upon opening the app is the home screen. Here we have the Application Profiles tab. As you can see, we have our global profile currently active. When we set up the keyboard settings in the global profile, those settings are applied to the keyboard itself, meaning that you're able to keep those same settings when you connect to a different device with the same operating system. The Mac global profile, though, is different from the Windows global profile, meaning that if you alternate between Mac and Windows, you'll need to set up a global profile twice, once for each OS. As for custom profiles, we'll explain them towards the end of the video. On the right side, we're able to train the Adaptive Intelligence module. This helps the keyboard in accurately distinguishing between typing, general use of the trackpad, and gestures. To improve your experience, it's recommended that you train it. To do that, simply click on Start Learning and follow the on-screen instructions. Bear in mind, a separate mouse device will be required as the keyboard's touchpad will be disabled during the learning process. We'll cover more on Adaptive Intelligence in a separate video. Moving on, the pointer and gesture section has some additional settings for cursor speed and control through your Windows or macOS system settings, where you can change the speed of the cursor, what function taps on the trackpad perform, system gestures, and more depending on what your OS allows you to set up. Now, we also have a gesture setup section, but we'll get to that in a moment. In the typing section, there's a couple of options. One is for keystroke suppression when multiple keys are pressed, which is meant to increase the accuracy of typing by removing extra unintentional keystrokes. However, it might interfere in certain cases such as very fast typing and in the gameplay of games. The other is Gesture Defender, which cancels out accidental keystroke inputs from being sent to the computer while the user is performing a gesture. Lastly, we have the battery section, where you can see the battery life on screen and enable or disable power saving mode if needed. We recommend that you use the power saving mode if you normally use your keyboard with it plugged in, as it limits the battery to 80% charge for better preservation of battery health and lower temperatures. But we do recommend that you disable it if you typically work off battery for optimal battery life. Now going back to gesture setup, it opens up the second tab in the TouchOnKeys app. Here in the Gestures tab, we can set up exactly which functions we need our 3 and 4 fingered gestures and taps to do. On the bottom left of the keyboard graphic on screen, we have a few different swipe presets that we're able to choose from, such as our system settings-based gestures and taps, nothing at all, volume and track control for listening to music, or even a D-pad. If you need something more specific than just presets, these functions are highly customizable. Simply click on any of the text boxes and select the function you want your gesture or tap to do. For example, a 3-fingered swipe left to copy with Ctrl-C, a 3-fingered swipe right to paste with Ctrl-V, a 3-fingered swipe upwards to select everything with Ctrl-A, and a 3-fingered swipe downwards to undo our last action with Ctrl-Z. We can even configure our keyboard so that a 3-fingered tap acts as Alt-Tab for easier switching between two windows. If you need to set up a custom shortcut using a special key, like the Windows key, or the Command key on Mac, we can do that by clicking on the on-screen Windows or Command button before adding the rest of the shortcut to ensure that it gets properly registered. You can set up a 4-fingered gesture in the same way. 3 and 4-fingered settings work simultaneously, meaning that you can set up both and use them at the same time together. Now we can move on to the Touch Sliders tab. Here, in the same way as before, we can configure what function the touch sliders are responsible for, such as volume control, screen brightness on laptops, keyboard backlight brightness, left and right arrow functions, and more. We can configure the left and the right touch sliders as needed, and we can also change the sensitivity of the touch slider as well, depending on personal preferences. Here's an example with the touch sliders set up for seeking through videos and adjusting the volume on YouTube. Next, we have the Backlight tab. Here we're able to customize the way that our keyboard looks in terms of backlighting. We can select the keyboard in sections: the main section, the touch area, as well as the left and right touch sliders. Within the touch area, we can even choose what color we want the gesture trail to be, and in the main section, we can pick what color we want the typing effect to be. Their colors are adjustable exactly in the way that we need them by clicking on the color box and selecting a color from the color wheel, or by manually entering a hex code for the desired color. For convenience, you can also pick from this palette of previous colors, and if you need to reset to the default color, you can simply click on Reset Color to Default. There will be an update on backlight customization soon. Once it becomes available, we'll be sure to make a separate video explaining how to use it and leave a link to that in the description. We also have the Function Keys tab. This allows us to rebind function keys in the way that we need from the F1 to F12 keys. There are many different options for clipboard, multimedia, undoing, redoing, windows and apps, and more. For example, if we need the F5 to act as an undo key, we can set that function in the TouchOnKeys app by either selecting undo or manually entering a custom shortcut with Ctrl-Z. Now my F5 key can be used for the undo function. It's as simple as that. Lastly, if you need to set up a custom profile for a specific app, return to the Home tab, click on New Profile in the top left section, and you'll be presented with a list of all the currently running applications on your device. Simply select the application you need to create the custom profile for, and then click on Add Profiles. You can now go ahead and customize this app-specific profile for your needs the same way in which we set up the global profile. You can also switch between customizing your custom profiles and your global profile in each tab at the top right corner with the drop-down menu. Bear in mind, this custom profile will be activated instead of the global profile, but only while the selected app for the custom profile is running in an active window. Once the app is closed or minimized, the keyboard will revert back to using your global settings. You're able to enable or disable your app-specific profiles at any time, and you can even permanently delete them by clicking on the trash icon on their right. That's all for this guide. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you in the next ones.